What is going on, South by East fams? Welcome back to the podcast where we talk about the culture, the scriptures, and everything in between. Jonathan shot me this video recently, and I thought it was interesting to say the least. John, why don't you give us an intro to where we're going?
Yeah, so there was this video is actually the follow-up of another video. It had a young lady. The original video had a young lady, I think, like in a coffee shop, and she had this acrylic thing that really looked like a phone in her hand, and she was doing all the motions like she was scrolling through and different things of that nature. And the internet went crazy because they thought it was like some new transparent phone. And then like in a guilty manner, I was like, oh fam, that's cool. If that is a see-through phone, so I started searching for the see-through phone technology, knowing that I wasn't gonna buy it because I don't spend my money. Like they forced me out of phones, and so. But I wanted to see this technology, I'm thinking we on some Iron Man stuff.
Right.
And so then I found this video explaining it to it, and I quickly shot it to Brail, asking for his feedback on it. So let's catch it.
Yeah.
This is a metaphone. It is exactly what it looks like. A clear piece of acrylic shaped like an iPhone. But why does it exist? My friend is actually the inventor and creator of these, and he told me that what he wanted to test was if we're all so addicted to our phones, then could you potentially curb somebody's addiction by replacing the feeling of having a phone in your pocket with something that feels exactly the same? Now, I commentate on technology's impact on society, right? So obviously I have something to say here. I think the reason 13 million people and counting are intrigued about that video of me in the boba shop and why this is so completely sold out right now is because this little piece of acrylic feels like a physical artifact that directly responds to this collective tension we all feel about how our devices, which are meant to make us more connected, are actually having the exact opposite effect. This is not news.
Oh man.
Cap, John, cap. Listen, I agree with what she's saying about phones not allowing us to be, or causing us to be more disconnected, where we thought they would make us more connected, or that's how they're sold, is making us more connected. What I'm calling cap on is I don't think that people are buying these pieces of acrylic to curb their cell phone addictions. Bro, I think that's ad spin. I think some people are really thinking they're about to get up on this Iron Man.
I'm pushing back on that.
Push back. Please do.
So here's the deal. When I found out what it was, it's intrigued me because I also know there's devices out there to help people stop smoking that actually, because for some people, the device is just a little thing and you actually suck in air, actually. But it's shaped like a cigarette.
Yep, I've seen
and they
those.
get to hold it between their fingers, and it
simulates everything else about the experience, but without the negative effects.
Yeah, and so I think for some, look, man, this used to not be me. I carry my phone in the same pocket all the time.
Yeah.
All right? And sometimes, even when my phone is not in my pocket,
you feel it. You reach for it.
I feel like a phantom vibrate.
Yep.
In that spot of my.
Yep.
So I can see why somebody might say, you know what, I have an addiction to my phone and I recognize it, and so I'm trying to come up with coping things to compensate for the feel and different things of that nature that I am trying to recognize with. And here's the deal too. I think more people are becoming aware of an unhealthy tie to their phone. Like, I love that Apple allows you to know how much screen time you've had on each device every week. I get a report every week.
Yeah.
And I think, and that's something that I monitor. Right? And then I try to have times where I shut down different things of that nature just because I monitor that. And so I could see someone, now, I think some people are buying them, like you said, to look cool or whatever else. I think some people are buying them thinking that there's more technology to it. And I think there's some people who are buying them because they're saying, man, this is affecting me.
Yeah. I think there are some.
I think there's a mix.
Yeah, I think there's a mixture, and that's why I'm like, man, that's ad spend to me. Like, because I'm like, I don't think people are ready to let go of their phones, and I think that's why I think we're starting to get to that place. But right now, I don't think people are ready to let go of their ties to technology.
The majority, I would agree with you, are not ready. Hey, here's the deal. I wanna say this.
Mm-hmm.
I think you changed the conversation there with your last statement.
Okay.
You said you don't think people are ready to let go of their ties to technology. I would wholeheartedly agree with you on that. I think people don't want to be set. Like, they're not saying I'm going to go live off the grid. You do have some people going that way, but most people are not there. I think there's a medium point where people are saying, I have a technology addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I want a healthy relationship with technology. And so I'm trying to find ways to find that. So here's the deal, right? Me trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
I still love food, but there's been times in my life where I've had a really unhealthy addiction to food. Mm-hmm. And so now I got to find ways to compensate. I had a salad for lunch. When I say salad, I mean salad for lunch.
Salad.
No protein, like veggies with vinaigrette.
Oh, yeah.
And
my salads are like burgers without buns.
So I mean,
meat, cheese, bread.
Now,
lettuce,
what I wanted,
sauce.
right? I wanted something a lot different. And so it's like saying, like, I didn't just stop eating. I still needed to eat, but I needed to find something healthy. And you know, like, part of my plan is, if I can help it, I try to do breakfast and lunch vegetarian, and then eat meat in the evenings, right? But you know, I'll do tofu.
Right.
We both know tofu is not meat. Tofu is tofu.
Tofu is not meat.
Tofu is not ribeye.
No.
Tofu is tofu.
Yes.
Tofu is not chicken thighs. Tofu.
It's tofu.
It's tofu.
It is tofu.
And so, but sometimes I need a texture difference, and so I'll eat tofu.
And my other issue with this is this. I agree that I think that there is a collective understanding that there is a problem. And I think that there are some people that may be reaching out for this. Even in the video, she's like, I don't actually know if I was on my phone any less, but I'm glad I have. But I feel like I've taken a step. And that's also why I call cap when I see videos that are like, oh, this is happening and this is helping. And it's like, I don't know that it is, and we don't have enough data to say that it is. I agree that we're in a place where people want some sort of answer. And it's like, I've seen people trade one addiction for another and then slide right back into where they were because their method of treating the problem wasn't actually effective. And so they were just grasping at straws. Because a lot of technology addiction too, and that's a piece of this conversation that I feel like we have to broach, is a lot of our addiction to technology is also due to unresolved issues in other areas of our life that we use technology to medicate.
But and I would say this. What I've seen felt over and over again is when you try to take away something and you don't choose something else.
Yeah.
Right? And so, for instance, Ike Soma is a pastor who has been a mentor at times in my life. Tremendous guy. One of Dr. Tony Evans' sons in the ministry, tremendously gifted. And one time I was meeting with him, I was like, man, do you read more books than anyone I know? How do you read so much? He's like, I always keep a book with me. And when I have any kind of spare moment, like even if it's 2 or 3 minutes, I just read what I can in 2 or 3 minutes. And so I just always have a book that I'm always in. And I adopted that. And that's how you know how much I read.
You read a lot of books.
And that's how I started reading a lot of books. I think I've seen people go into the scroll deal just because they're like, okay, I have nothing to do with my hands right now.
Dead scrolling.
And so
Right, they
they
call it
pick up
dead
their phone.
scrolling,
Yeah.
yeah.
They pick up their phone and they start doing it. So I think, man, it's not the total solution. It's not the reason for everyone. But I think for some people, it might actually. Now, look, is this part advertisement? Yes, because our friend invented it, man.
Right,
Look,
100%.
look.
As soon as I heard that, I went, okay, I know
Hey,
where we
look.
at.
I love Crown. I love Crown partially because you made it, but I also love it because it's a good song. Hold My Hand and Never Let Go of My Hand. Look, man, good music.
Right.
So my deal in that is I think it could be some of both, you know, and I think it's going to be a slow migration. I think this won't work for everyone, but I think for some people, it's going to help them to have something just to fiddle with. And as they even if it's a small moment of what am I doing, swiping my finger on this clear piece of
this is ridiculous.
And how is this different
from what I'm doing on my phone? And I do so I've been on the side of like I don't believe it this whole time. I want to make it clear. I like meta experiments like this.
Yeah.
I got a song from way back in the day that I made called Booty Sweat that one of our friends cannot stand. But that song itself is a meta experiment. And I said it from the jump. I'm like, if I made a song that sounds like the toxic music that's out today, but is actually criticizing the toxic music that's out today, people will like it, and they'll like it for almost the same reasons. And it did the same thing. And so it's like, I'm not against meta experiments. What I don't like is when people make a meta experiment and they sell it as if it's a solution to a problem. And I don't know that this is actually a solution to a problem. But I want to see. See.
Well, I didn't take it as she's trying to say this is the total solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think she was saying it was highlighting the problem.
Right. It was highlighting, which I agree with that.
I think it was highlighting the problem.
I do agree with
the
that.
Fact that
100%.
the fact that it started selling before people knew what it was, and went viral because people thought I'm going to get the latest clear phone. Which, man, this is one of the reasons I miss being a youth pastor, is because I never had to buy a new phone because teenagers change phones like they change underwear, and so I used to just buy their old phones
from them.
I would just buy their old phone every time they got a new phone, and I never had to buy a new phone.
That was it.
And so you know, that's one of the reasons I miss being a youth pastor, man. Like I had access to newer phones all the time.
You get all the technology.
And so, but yeah, it's one of those things you look at where I think this does highlight something. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a total problem because a lot of addiction counseling and therapy does have to come down to the emotional tie involved with it. And while this will get some of the sensory items in place that you may need to aid in that treatment, it doesn't address the social, emotional side of it, in which I also didn't see her selling about that, but I think she's highlighting that there's a problem.
There's a problem, and I like that, and I think this helps start conversations. Mm-hmm. This helps start conversations, and I think I'm all for that. Yeah. And I'm not about to go buy an acrylic phone, but I'm all for starting the conversation.
Look, so, I need to know if it's copyrighted.
So what do y'all think? Hey, I would love to get some hard data. So if you watch the South by East podcast and you go out and buy one of these acrylic phones, does it decrease your phone usage? Do you do a little more with your time? Do you read more books? I don't know. Let us know. I want to see in the comments.
Let us know if it's trademarked, because you can cut acrylic really cheap and find sheets of it. We can get that to happen.
We can work with you.
South by East.
We'll see you next week
in the intersection.